Hey guys, how's it going? Ray here on behalf of Two Broke Gamers, and today I want to talk about my favorite games that I beat in the year 2023. One or two of these games didn't come out this year, but the way I like to do these is just what did I beat in 2023 and what did I enjoy out of it. So, this is mostly games that came out 2023, but not all of them. So just so you know, if I'm like, oh, this game, it's like that game came out years ago, or that was a Super Nintendo. I get it, but this is just games I beat in the year 2023, not my favorite games of 2023. But anyway, this year was action packed. If you want to talk about new games, I mean, it was incredible how many games came out this year, and I really felt like this year was not anticipated as much as it really built itself to be. I remember going into the year like, okay, this game, yeah, that game. I was pretty much just excited for Dead Space and RE4 Remake. And then it just piled on and piled on and piled on, and stuff just kept coming and coming and coming. And it was incredible. But I do want to say this is my personal opinion. If you disagree with any of the games on the list, that's fine. I would love to see your guys' list in the comments below, whether it be games that you beat that came out in 2023 or just in general, like my list, games that you beat in 2023. So I'm going to start off with an honorable mention. This game, I didn't really play the single player content. I went right online and started playing ranked matches and stuff like that. But I wanted to talk about it because it's not a game I beat, but it's a game that I put hundreds of hours into, and that is Street Fighter 6. Street Fighter 6 is the best fighting game that I ever got to be a part of from the start. Between playing the demos, trying to get into the betas, and then playing the release and practicing and learning with everyone else, was such an incredible experience. Me and my cousin really took a lot of time to learn the game. I did take a little bit of a break because I did have some bad times in my life in 2023, but I'm not here to talk about it. So I took a break from gaming for a little bit, and I'm just slowly getting back into Street Fighter again. My cousin, he's almost master now with JP. I'm still grinding in plat with Zangief main. You are too, or Chad. But yeah, I mean, Street Fighter 6, it was loaded with single player content. And from everybody I know that played the single player content, they loved it. I'm not saying that I wouldn't like it, but I play fighting games because I want to get in there, I want to play against other people, I want to grind my rank, I want to get better. Single player content stuff was never really my cup of tea unless it was like story mode for Mortal Kombat, but again, still a huge credit to Street Fighter 6. It launched great. All the characters felt good in a way and balanced. Some stronger than others, yes. A lot of it was playing around and figuring out how to deal with certain characters, like Honda's headbutt and stuff was hard to deal with for players, and JP hard to get around and all that stuff. But it's still an incredible game, and I can't recommend it enough to anybody that's a veteran of fighting games, want to get into fighting games. I think this game just offers anything you could ever want out of a fighting game. The very advanced, comprehensive frame meter, detail meter in practice mode to learn if things are safe on block or minus, plus, all that stuff. The stuff you can do to set up the AI to do certain things, to practice against, all of it is incredible. The rollback netcode feels great. If you're playing double wired connection, it's like as if you're playing offline, and it's incredible. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about Street Fighter 6 because while it wasn't necessarily on the list of games I beat, I really think it deserved to be talked about because it was incredible. Let's actually get into the list. This is in no order. It's not my favorite to least favorite of the year. It's really just top 5 games that I beat. I'm really bad at ordering things because I feel like it can always change depending on your mood. But so in general, it's just the top 5 games that I beat in 2023. And we're going to start off with Resident Evil 4 Remake. Yes, Dead Space Remake is not on here because it really was a one-to-one remake of the game, and I loved it. It's the new definitive way to play Dead Space. But what RE4 Remake did was they really took the game and built upon it and changed it in ways and transformed it while keeping its old self there. It really did new things that were incredible and didn't expect. But as a fan of the original RE4, this game delivered in so many ways. It's actually incredible how good the game is. I got to play the demo, and I really try not to play demos because what happens is I play it and then I start getting the itch, and it's like, okay, I gotta wait X amount of time. I don't know if I can anymore. It's supposed to scratch that itch of like, okay, well, here's a little taste, but then it's like, well, I want to keep going. So I played the demo probably like 18 times, and I was like, okay, this game needs to come out already. I need to play it. I'm excited. I actually pre-ordered the collector's edition, and then it got canceled on me last second. So I couldn't even have the chance to go find another one. It was just like, oh, hey, we can't fulfill this order. Here's your refund. It was from GameStop. Thanks, GameStop. But man, I tell you, the environments, the sound design, the music, the added content, I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And I'm definitely going to not be spoiling anything when I talk about these games. It'll just be kind of basic things or things they already showed or things you already know. But in general, the atmosphere, it's the same but different. The enemies are the same but different. You know what I mean? I know I keep saying that, but it really is the game that we love with more than just a coat of paint. It is an overhaul while keeping the original feel, and it's something that I think Capcom has done incredible work with on RE2 remake and RE4 remake. RE3 remake, sorry, can't count that. Can't count that one either. But I'll tell you, it's really special when you're excited for a game and it lives up to the hype. I can't express that enough. It's something that I feel like doesn't happen as much anymore as we would like it to. Maybe we live in a world of overhyping things, but from the moment I saw RE4 was getting remade, I had high expectations, I had high hopes, and it was so nice that they delivered. I think I've beaten the game 4 times. I was going to go for the platinum, but, you know, it's a little tricky, the whole speedrun thing, I'm not very good at. But, yeah, RE4 Remake, absolutely incredible. If you haven't played it, even if you haven't played the original, go pick up RE4 Remake. It is so worth the money. It is worth your time in every way. If you're a survival horror fan, you will love it. If you didn't like the original RE4, maybe give this one a chance. It is different. It does have some quality of life. It is incredible. I'm telling you, you will like it. I promise. We're going to change directions a little bit with the other game that I beat this year off of the Phantom Reverie collection, I think it's called. That is Klonoa 1, Door to Phantom Isle. A game that I've always wanted to play, but seeing the prices of it on the original PS1, I just couldn't justify it. I did pick up a Japanese PS1 copy to play on my Japanese PS1, and then they announced Klonoa was coming in a remake, and I'm like, what are the chances? At least I didn't drop $600 for that to happen. But yeah, Klonoa, if you haven't heard of Klonoa, it's basically a old PS1 platformer that really snuck under the radar for a lot of people. It didn't sell well, and it was made by Namco, but it still didn't sell well, and it causes the price now of the game, original PS1 game, to skyrocket because, again, once people realize the game's good, the demand goes up, the supply is not there, pay up, it's the way it works. Retro game collecting in a nutshell. But Klonoa is just a fun, colorful platformer where you interact with the background and foreground, and I love that. It's like Tomba in a way, where like you throw enemies forward, backwards, down, left, right, all of it. It's incredible, while still remaining a 2D platformer. But I love the grabbing enemies, jumping off of them, throwing them. All of that I think is super unique to the platformer, because 2D platformers, there's not a whole lot of ways to innovate a 2D platformer. It really does feel like everything's been done because you have a 2D space. But it is incredible what they did with Klonoa, even way back then in the 1990s. And this collection is a fantastic way to play them. It is truly a one-to-one of the first and second game bundled in. You can even revert the graphics, at least in the first one. I didn't play the second one yet on there, but the first one you can revert the graphics back to look more like the PS1 version or the new polished, smooth 3D models. I thought that was a really cool touch. I love when people do that, or I love when games do that, like Diablo Resurrected did that, all that stuff. I think that's really cool. I think the Tomb Raider that's coming out, the Tomb Raider collection, you get to do that. I just love it. It's a really cool way to like compare, because then it's like, oh wow, yeah, they really did make it look better. But don't let Klonoa's colorfulness and stuff deceive you. It's actually a very sad story in there, but you know, I think it's fantastic. If you're a fan of platformers, this is a must play if you haven't already. If you're not a fan of platformers, this one might be enough to be different. You know, you might be like, oh, actually, you know what? The way this one plays, I could maybe get into this. I think it's worth a try. At least do some, you know, look at the gameplay up on the screen, whatever you think of it, you know, kind of make your own decision. But I think personally, it was one of the best games to come out in 2023 in the remake. So very glad it came out. Very glad I got to play it. Fantastic game. Really worth checking it out. Then third on the list, again, no particular order, but third on the list is Metroid Prime Remastered. Metroid Prime is a game that I had back on the GameCube as a kid, and I beat it, but it took me forever to beat. That game does not hold your hand. And in a good way and in a bad way. I mean, it truly is like a 3D Metroidvania where, okay, this door's locked. All right, well, got it. Okay, which way can I go? Okay, now now I got the item to go backtrack and unlock this door, and you get new items to access different areas and different things, and it really is one of those games that you jump into and you get lost. But that's kind of the point. Just keep going through any door you can go. You know, if there's a new area, go there. Sure, you're gonna find an item to let you go to the new areas. It's just the way those games work, and it does a really good job of it because you really get that sense of exploration. And when you find that item you need, you find that power up. It is such a great feeling. Like, oh, okay, now I can go unlock this, or now I can do this. And that's what makes Metroidvania style games cool in my eyes. And this again is that, but in a 3D environment, first person shooter. Huge revamp on the controls on the remaster. Twin stick makes that game so much better. If you played on the original GameCube, you know it is a nightmare to aim compared to the remaster. So trust me when I say this is the definitive way to play that game. I don't care how much you love the GameCube version. If you play this remaster, you'll never go back to the GameCube version, because if you did, oh, it'd give you a headache. It would be agonizing. But the great thing about this remaster is it was a lot of people's first time playing Metroid. And people got to see how incredible it was, because it truly was ahead of its time. I mean, there's some games that were just ahead of its time. Metal Gear Solid 1, you know, Metroid Prime. There's just games that were truly advanced. And I'm glad people see it, and people knew it back then, but people get to see it now, and it really shows that this game holds up. Older games can hold up if remastered right, if ported properly. If you give us the game that we loved, improve on it a little bit, it will show that they stand the test of time. The foundation's there, just a little bit of tweaking to modernize it, and bam, you've got a fantastic game that is old and still loved. But it's hard to talk about some of these games without spoiling, so I am kind of keeping it vague. Hopefully the gameplay is doing the talking, but you know, it's like I'm so scared of saying things that people are like, oh, spoiled me, or you know, because really, I want you guys to experience these games for yourself. So if it seems like I'm barely saying anything, I'm trying my best to tiptoe around and just talk about great things as if I was trying to sell it to somebody without spoiling it. I say sell it to as if I'm sponsored. Obviously, I'm not sponsored by any of these, but a great game is a great game, and it deserves recognition. All right, the fourth game I'm going to talk about did not come out this year, but the second one did. But I haven't played the second one. I just got around to beating the first one for the first time this year. And that is Octopath Traveler. This game is so unique because there's 8 different campaigns that you can go through with 8 different characters. That's Octopath, you know, eight paths. Go figure. Good choice of words on the name, right? It was the first, as far as I know, it's the first game to introduce that HD 2D sprite work that is mind-blowing. I mean, incredible. You look at it and it's just, I can't imagine somebody not liking the HD 2D aesthetic of a game. The way they transformed the 2D sprites into what they are is unimaginable to me. When I first saw it, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. And I love how games are doing it going forward. I think it's fantastic. It is a great way to breathe new life into these old 2D JRPGs. And this was a new release, but it felt like an old school JRPG. And it is. Traditional turn-based combat. Fantastic enemy design. Great music. Great storytelling. I mean, what else would you want in a traditional JRPG? But the combat's still simple while adding a little bit of variation to it, where you can kind of store power and then unleash it to do multiple attacks, more powerful moves. You've got the break system to knock down their armor before you can really do some damage to them by targeting their weaknesses. It's just things like that that can also become a little tedious, I won't lie, where it's like, oh, you can't just attack them outright, you gotta knock their shield down or whatever. But at the same time, sometimes you just want to add different elements to a JRPG, to a turn-based combat, because maybe pressing A to attack and just sword slash every enemy gets boring. Maybe it's fun to, okay, I'm going to use this weakness, I'm going to store these moves, I'm going to do that. I mean, it does add strategy to it, which can be fun and also annoying to some people. It's really only annoying, I feel like, when you're grinding, because you wish you could just steamroll things. And you kind of get to the point where you're steamrolling, but once you're steamrolling that enemy without breaking its weakness, they're probably not giving you anything worth of experience or money. So, it is what it is, but still, I think the game is absolutely worth playing. It is on Steam, it is on Switch. That is only things that the first game is on. The second one is on all platforms. But I really highly recommend it if you have a Switch or PC to try out Octopath Traveler if you haven't. I think it is fantastic. I think it's a great way to get into JRPGs. I think it's challenging. I think it's, you know, it's not too easy. There's job systems, classes. There's just a lot of things that make that game really fun, and the aesthetics alone keep me coming back to it. I mean, I'm really excited to play the second one because, again, I haven't got to play the second one, and I heard that it's the first one but better. Can't go wrong with that. But with that being said, I think Octopath Traveler really worth playing. Just try it out. I think it's great. I don't know how much it costs anymore if it goes on sale. I know the winter sale just ended, but really worth picking up. One little honorable mention I want to say, because I didn't beat it yet, Baldur's Gate 3, just saying that, fantastic game. I'm like 150 hours, didn't beat it yet. Fantastic game, just need to say that. It would be on the list if I beat it. But the fifth game that I did finish this year, in my top 5, is Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. This game was fantastic, to say the least. And a lot of people say, well, it's just Breath of the Wild with building. That is such an understatement to say. To say it's just Breath of the Wild, but with this incredible new system that completely changes how you can play the game. I mean, you gotta, talk about that. I mean, the building itself is what makes the game. The way you build things and put things together to solve puzzles is absolutely fantastic. There's no right solution, there's no wrong solution. There's just solutions. If you get through the shrine, if you solve the puzzle, doesn't matter how you did it. Everybody probably did it a different way. I'm not sure anybody did it the intended way because nobody knows what the intended way was. I loved feeling like I was breaking the game, but I wasn't. But talking to my friends like, oh, how'd you solve it? Oh, I just did this. It's like, wow, that's like so simple. Why didn't I think about it? And it's like, oh, how'd you solve it? Oh, well, I basically built a helicopter. It's like, oh, okay. Like, there's just, that really is, I mean, that's why you can't just not talk about the building system. It's incredible. I found a mini boss in a camp, and I took 2 pieces of cage, scooped him into it, locked him in the cage, put wheels on it, put a driving stick, and I was driving the boss around. That's like, what game can you do that in? That is hilarious. I mean, I was like laughing so hard I was crying at the fact that I just made a car with a boss inside of it. And then I just drove it over a fire and cooked him to death. I mean, like, it's so fun. It is a massive game. The combat, Breath of the Wild combat, if you've played it, very simple. Weapons break, basic attacks, dodge, roll, block, all that. The map exploration pretty much stays the same. There's shrines for all the same reasons that shrines are in Breath of the Wild. Go get your heart pieces, go get your stamina. You got your story, you got your all this stuff. The map is massive, and just when you think it's as big as it can get, you find more. But it is big. It is a massive game. And at about the 100-hour mark, I started to get burnt out, but I was getting general burnout. I wasn't getting, this game's boring me. It was just, okay, these long games, there hits a point where you're ready to move on to the next game. And I get that way with every game. And maybe you're the same. But a game can be so long that I'm like, okay, I'm kind of ready for this game to be over. Like, it's kind of overstaying its welcome. And I definitely inflated the hours. It's not, you can beat the game in well under 100 hours. But I was goofing off. I was doing the shrines. I was building things. All this stuff. So keep in mind that I made the game as long as I did. But once I finished it, I put the controller down, and I really thought, that was one of the best games I ever played. It really was. Aside from the burnout at the end, aside from all of it, when I think about that game, it's like Happy Console Gamer said, one of my favorite YouTubers of all time. If you were to get stuck on an island and they said there's one game you get to play for the rest of your life, what would it be? He said Tears of the Kingdom, and I agree. Because the sky is the limit. And it's simply the building. So again, if you ever hear anybody say, it's just Breath of the Wild with building, just ignore that. I mean, it's just so much more than that. It drives me nuts when I hear that. Frustrating. It is so much more to that. But yeah, that's some of my favorite games that I beat in 2023. I would love to know, even if it's 1 game, 2 games, 10 games, what were your favorite games that you completed in 2023? What were your favorite games that came out in 2023? What games are you looking forward to in 2024? That's another video I'm going to be doing, so look out for that. Games that I'm anticipating in the year 2024. Happy New Year, by the way. Hope you had a good holiday. I forgot all about that. But yeah, so that's my list. Hope you guys enjoyed. Again, if your list is different, that's okay. That's what makes opinions great. That's what makes the gaming world great. There's something for everybody. Just the way it works. With that being said, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.